Hello, everyone. Welcome to Growing Up in America the Way It Is here on 90.1 FM KPFT. We're having quite a balmy October, and it really seems like fall does not want to come, unfortunately. My name is Dr. Chris Kulesza, but you know me as Dr. Data here on the program, and I am here with Reagan today. Reagan, how are you?
Yes, I'm feeling good. I feel like it's been a wonky Wednesday and the morning just started, but it's gonna get great. It's gonna be better.
No, it's going to be awesome. It really is.
Yeah.
For those of you who are new to our program, Growing Up in America is a discussion on our children, public policy, and how do we as a city and community do when it comes to taking care of all of our kids. This radio show is a production of Children at Risk, a nonprofit organization dedicated to research, public policy, law, and collaborative action on behalf of Texas's youth. Every week, we aim to fill these same 60 minutes with lively discussion on the children of Texas with experts on the quality of life of our children. This week, we are throwing it back to our new favorite segment, Growing Pains with Reagan. Thank you so much. As
Yeah.
well as the data of the day, which is one third. So, Reagan, any idea as to what one third is?
Yeah, I'm gonna say one third of students actually miss school after the holidays, so they don't maybe return to back to class.
Actually, that is not a bad guess whatsoever. You're in the
Okay.
right ballpark of school, so that's great.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Like,
excited.
would you like to talk about our guests today?
Yeah, definitely. So today's guests and topics we're going to be talking to Cristen Reat, who's the program director of Easterseals Greater Houston, and we'll be talking about technology for households, which I'm kind of excited to hear about that. Our next guest would be after that, Callie Bryant. She's the marketing director of YWCA of Lubbock, and we'll be talking about youth mentorship. Then we'll have Rachel Elbert from the Lubbock Boys and Girls Club. She's the executive director there, and we'll be talking about youth empowerment. Last but definitely not least, we have Larissa Jacobs. She's the founder and executive director of Fit Houston, and we'll be talking about children's physical health. But before that, we do have to get into growing pains. Now, I thought this was a great topic, holidays without family in college, because I had to spend quite a few holidays alone, and it does sound it sounds sad, but I had to learn how to make memories for myself. I learned how to enjoy my alone time, and in the midst of that, I learned gratefulness and mindfulness as well. I think the first tip I would definitely give to young students who are in college spending away their holiday time from their family is, start traditions of your own. It's normal to have family traditions, but I think it's satisfying to create something for yourself, and it'll stick with you, and it will make you, I think, definitely, like I said, more grateful of yourself, of your time. And then the second thing I would say is enjoy that alone time. That's something that a lot of us do not get to appreciate as often. And when you're alone, you sit and have time with yourself, and moments where you get to think about the future, think about what you want, how your future self gonna look, so you're able to just breathe. You're able to enjoy the moment and be present. And that's something I think as college students, we often kind of forget. We're always surrounded by people, we're surrounded by our roommates, we're surrounded about, those college parties. So when you're doing those, when you're spending a holiday alone, you really get to just sit in that moment and be present. Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be really tough. I was close enough to my family where I was able to spend every holiday with my family, but I had quite a few friends that were international, and they would come over to our house and celebrate the holidays with us during that time. There was one particular friend of mine that became a regular thing. So she was from Malaysia, so she would always come over to our house for the holiday, and it was always wonderful to have her there, of course, to be able to, of course, learn from her traditions that she had in her family, but also to, just more the merrier over that holiday season.
Yeah, yeah. And for these upcoming holidays, I just thought that was a great topic to just talk about, and, let anyone who's listening to know to enjoy your alone time and, be grateful and make memories for yourself. Now, next we will be having Cristen Reat. That is it for growing pains. I feel like this is a topic that we can go on and on for, but the time is all finished. And after this musical break, our next guest, Cristen Reat, she's the program director at Easterseals Greater Houston. We'll be talking about technology for households. So stay tuned. Welcome, Kristen. How are you?
I'm great. How
Yeah,
are
I'm
you?
so glad that you're able to join us and talk about this. When did a little bit of research on Easter Seals, you guys offered amazing things. You guys are the leading nonprofit provider of services for individuals with autism and different disabilities. And to jump in, let's start with what separates Easter Seals from other nonprofit provider services.
Thank you so much for having me today. So, what I would say about Easter Seals is that we've been around a long time. We've been here in Houston almost 80 years. And we also serve anyone with any type of disability of any age.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys have so many different programs and camps, and you guys have like over 5 different camps, right?
Right, we do. We have a number of services, again, for everyone from babies all the way up to, I think our oldest client is in their late 80s. And yes, we do have camps for kids in the summer. We have overnight camps, and then we have some day camps. So we have a lot going on all the time.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I seen was that you guys had the toy tech and play groups. I thought that was so interesting because I feel like children with disabilities, they often get forgotten about. When with children with disabilities, when they learn a skill or they learn something more activity based, how do these things help them, when they learn karate or yoga?
Yeah, so our adaptive play groups are really important, and we run them at different locations. A lot of them is for the social piece, and for kids with disabilities, they're like anyone else. They want to learn things, they want to be involved, they want to be with their friends. But sometimes just a typical, kids karate class or a yoga class that's not kind of at their pace. Sometimes they just need more time to practice skills, and it's just a safe environment. It's also an opportunity for parents to kind of be able to talk with each other and get together if they're coming and bringing their kids to a play group. It helps with all sorts of early childhood development skills, communication skills, social skills. And it's just a whole lot of fun, and it allows people just to, um, you know, do things at their own pace.
Yeah, yeah.
This is all excellent work, and it's so vital. What are some of the misconceptions you oftentimes hear when you're creating these programs for children with disabilities, and how do you, as the program director, rise above them?
Well, I think when it comes to kids with disabilities or even individuals of any age with a disability, we often think that, oh, that's something really different and I don't know anything about that. But I guarantee you that everybody knows someone with a disability. So, 1 in 6 kids has some sort of developmental disability. It may be a hidden disability. 1 in 4 adults has a disability in this country. And so we're surrounded by disability, but we may not always think about it. So the misconception is that, disability has something to do with somebody else, but we all know someone who has some sort of disability. It could be a hidden disability like autism, it could be a physical disability, or just some sort of mental health challenge. So I think first, just recognizing that disability is a part of our lives. Many of us throughout our lives will likely have some kind of disability, an acquired injury or something. And so I think it's just focusing on understanding and supporting an individual. And so I think that's a big misconception is that it has to do with somebody else. And really, disability is just, it's one characteristic of a person and not their entire identity, I would say. And so creating programs for kids with disabilities or adults with disabilities is really just providing opportunities. And sometimes, again, talking about pacing, sometimes things may need to be paced a little bit different or find an individual customization that may be critical for somebody to participate, just like you and I, just being inclusive.
Yeah, and that's so important, being inclusive, and I'm so glad that Easter Seals, includes, everyone. And while we're talking about barriers, what are some common, barriers children with disabilities often face when first joining Easter Seals, and how do you guys accommodate everyone to make them feel comfortable?
Yeah, so I think people, when they come to Easter Seals, they come for all kinds of reasons. And so, for example, someone may come first looking for a therapy service, for example. And so they may come to our children's therapy program. We offer speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. So someone may come in for therapy services, but then we start to get to know them and we identify a need that, potentially they could use some help with educational tools, and so we refer them to the Bridging Apps program, which is the program that I run here, the technology focused program, and so there's a lot of internal referrals, and then pretty much every service that we have is client led. So we just focus on the goals and what the client needs, what the individual needs at that time. We do a lot of listening, and there are just a lots of different things that we can offer them once we get to know them. So I think, again, offering something like a play group, offering to visit our assistive technology lab that's filled with all sorts of low tech, high tech equipment that might help make their life easier. So I think it's a lot of listening, getting to know families, offering flexible programming, and just a welcoming environment where I think the other unique thing about Easter Seals is that we serve the individual with a disability
Yeah.
and caregivers and their family members. So it's serving the whole family, not just the individual. It's critical.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, what services are available and how eligible community members can get involved?
So we have all kinds of services. We have 12 different programs here at Easter Seals, everything from mental health services for veterans. Our largest program is our early childhood intervention program. So for anyone who needs support, anyone with a disability, or even suspecting that you may have a disability, you can call our number at 713-838-9050 or go to our website, eastersealshouston.org. And then if you're interested in technology and learning more about our free assistive technology labs, you can go to bridgingapps.org.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. After this musical break, we'll be right back with Callie Bryant. She's the marketing director of YWCA of Lubbock, and we'll be talking about youth mentorship. Stay tuned.
The sun in is strong. Someone crying. Something is said. Someone crying. Ey, ey, y aprovechame hoy, que mañana me voy.
And welcome back to Growing Up in America. With our second guest today, we'll be talking to Callie Bryant. She's the marketing director of YWCA of Lubbock. Hey, Callie, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. How's your day been?
It's wonky, but we're making it. We're making it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so blessed to be on here and, sharing a little bit about the YWCA of Lubbock.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I ran across this. I thought it was so interesting. You guys offer so many childcare and youth programs, women's health initiative, and other childcare resources. It's a lot. In what ways do these programs and resources stimulate the youth in the community of Lubbock, Texas?
So, the YWCA is truly a hub for our community. Our programs meet families where they are, whether it's providing quality childcare, like you mentioned, so parents can work, We have youth programs that build confidence and life skills, or we have our women health initiatives that empower women to care for themselves and their families.
Yeah.
Everything we do is about strengthening Lubbock and helping our families thrive, giving kids a safe and supportive space to grow, and creating opportunities that hopefully ripple through generations in our community.
Yeah. Yeah. So a part of you guys' mission is the big C's, right? Challenge, cultivate, and change. Those are the big part of the youth programs. There's a Men Together and community youth development. What skills are most valuable to the children when they're a part of these programs?
I think the three big ones we always talk about are empathy, accountability, and respect. We want them to gain skills where they can communicate effectively, learn teamwork and emotional intelligence so they can express themselves, resolve conflict, and truly build positive relationships, not only within their community, but also within their families.
Yeah. That's so
Um,
essential. The key word that I got there was teamwork, and that's so important, I think, and vital to a growing child. You guys have the CYD community youth development programs, right? And you offer a youth advisory council. Can you explain how this build leadership, responsibility, and ultimately teamwork amongst the council?
Absolutely. So we have a couple different programs like Hanging with CYD, which takes place on the first and third Fridays of each month. And the Youth Advisory Council really can take part in sharing their voice, helping plan our community projects, helping us organize these events, saying what they want to learn about, whether it's an array of skills that we offer, like cooking, art, STEM, robotics. It helps them learn leadership while being a part of these programs, time management, how to collaborate with others, really preparing them to make that next step from, school to that transition to college readiness so they can grow and prosper. It's really great to see them take ownership of their programs and know that their ideas matter and can be a force for positive change in their own neighborhoods.
Yeah, and building that up to give young people that idea that they can really make that positive impact is really important, right? And that can really reverberate throughout their entire life and really make them very civically engaged and minded, right? So, with that said, Amend of LBK launched in 2020 for Lubbock's young men from 10 to 17. Can you share the growth of this movement and what it has achieved now in 2025?
Oh, it's grown tremendously since 2020 when we launched. So in just 4 years, the program has reached more than 1,500 young men each year. And we began as like a small pilot in just a few schools, and we've now expanded across 14 campuses in Lubbock. And I already know we're adding a couple more this year that we're partnering with. So that number will be growing by 2026. We're having tough conversations with these young men about healthy masculinity, respect, challenging these stereotypes that are sometimes put on these young men. We have amazing mentors who partner with them and help them have a space that they can improve. And we've seen amazing results. We're seeing improved academic performance, fewer disciplinary referrals, and the biggest one that I'm just so proud of is zero juvenile justice referrals among our participating students.
Oh, wow.
And that's just a huge impact.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is, and that's kind of part of the mission, right? Eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, and freedom, and dignity for all. Like that's really beautiful. What are some of the challenges YWCA faced when trying to get this mission across to other communities?
Well, I think when we talk about it, we all know that these are complex issues. It's not something we're going to change overnight. It's not going to be instantaneous. So people sometimes just think of us as childcare center or a gym, but our mission tries to go so much deeper. It's about creating equity and opportunity for everyone. So a lot of work is about education, building awareness, starting hard conversations within our community, and showing how equity benefits the entire community. Progress takes time, but every small challenge and every hill we climb makes a difference. And it goes back to hopefully making a huge impact where we can look back and see how much Lubbock has grown in a community and changed over time.
So I'd like to talk to you as well about some of the events that you have. You host several events throughout the year, right? From father daughter dance and women of excellent events. How do these end up really getting to your mission and supporting that?
Yeah, so we actually just wrapped up event last week, Cocktails and Couture. It was our new inaugural event, and that one really helps us fund our mission. So each one of our events supports a different area of our programs. So, like I mentioned, Cocktails and Couture is raising money for our women and family programs. Our father daughter dance is celebrating positive role models, giving little girls a space to have that amazing night with their dad and that magical moment and our Cinderella-esque, experience.
Yes.
And then our Women's of Excellence is just honoring local women who are truly making an impact. We want to celebrate what's going well. So these events connect the community to our mission in a meaningful way while helping ensure we can continue to provide essential programs throughout the year.
Yeah, and, it's I think having those type of events, it does bring the community together, and, and as for a child, I think it's beautiful to see that and have those moments and share those moments with your dad and things like that, so I think that's awesome that you guys do that. What other type of events are you guys planning? Is there something new that you'll be bringing to YWCA?
We have tons of events coming up. So our next one is our fall festival, which I'm really excited for. Obviously, is the season.
Yeah.
So we are, typically have a bunch of different events each month, really centered around the season. We typically post different things on our website, so you can always check our website out for what's up and coming, as well as follow us on Facebook because we post a ton of events. And we're just excited. I think we are going to take a little slowdown during December so we can celebrate with the families.
Mhm.
Um, I think another great event I want to talk about that's coming up soon is we are giving away 83 laptops to children in the community. So AT&T partnered with us, and we have worked to identify youth that are part of our programs that are part of that college readiness and taking that next step to college and making sure they have a laptop that they get to pick up at the YWCA and prepare them. So it's ever evolving and changing, but we always have something going on at the Y.
I love that. Thank you, Callie. It was so great talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me on and love the podcast.
Thank you, of course. After this musical break, our guest, of course, is Dr. Data. We love Data of the day. So after this break, stay tuned to learn what's the number and what's the score.
Weird science, elastic tubes and pots and pans, bits and pieces and magic from the handle make it weird science. Oh, things I've never seen before. Behind bolted doors, talent and imagination. Weird science, not what teachers said to do, making dreams come true. Living tissue.
And we're back. Okay, so Dr. Data, I was close, right? I was close.
Yes, you were in the ballpark. It does deal with education in schools, but so it's not good news, but there is some good information and some good trends within this data. So this is according to KFF. This is a new report, and it states that one third of schools reporting that they strongly or moderately disagreed that they could effectively provide mental health services. So about a third of schools are saying they can't meet the mental health needs of their students.
You know,
Now,
that's not right, and I have to ask, why do you think they disagree with that?
okay, so there is some information within this report that does get into that. So the big one tends to be inadequate funding. If we're looking from 2021 to 2025, there's an increase from 47% to 56% of these schools saying that that is one of the driving factors as to why they can't provide mental health services. However, again, there's some good as well in this. So the number of schools that are saying that there aren't enough professional staff to cover, that's actually going down. Looking from 2021 to 2022, it's gone from 61% down to 55%. And the number of those that are saying that they had inadequate access to licensed mental health professionals, That's going down as well from 57% to 51. So really the crux of all of this ends up being a funding issue.
Mhm.
In terms of the services that they're providing, we are starting to see a bit of a bigger range of what they're able to provide at the school level. So, individual based intervention, the vast majority of schools are able to do that. That's at 84% to 83%. But those that are reporting that they provide group based interventions, that's actually going up from 56% up to 65%. So while funding is a major issue with this, and there's still a pretty significant proportion of schools that are saying that they can't meet the mental health needs of their students, when you dig into some of this data, there ends up being some good news. So there's some trends that are actually quite positive here.
Mhm. And in this report, do they talk about, like, alternative services that might can be added other than group, group services?
Yes, they do. So we're talking, of course, about telehealth. So especially since COVID-19, telehealth has been a really big option that's been available for many students in some of these larger school districts. That's been a great way to try to bridge the gap between those schools that are not having, especially those that don't have really the big outreach into their community to be able to do something like that. But then also, too, just speaking about outreach in general, there's been more of an emphasis about outreach and trying to really break down these barriers when it comes to mental health services. Because even, some of the work that we're doing at the Baker Institute, we find that even when services are available, students and parents may not be comfortable actually accessing those services. And there are among certain cultures a really big divide between acknowledging that a child might need that mental health service and actually being able to be comfortable to access that mental health service.
Now, I have to ask because it's on my mind. Why do you think, people aren't comfortable with something that they absolutely need?
So that's a really, really complex issue. There are certain norms out there that certain mental health issues do not really exist and that they're not really a major issue in the first place. But also, too, unfortunately, with some individuals, there's this idea that coming out and saying that you have a mental health concern is a form of weakness. And that can really hurt you in terms of either your personal relationships or with either your friends, your family, but also your own professional development. When at the end of the day, we're not afraid always to go to the doctor. And I say not always because, yes, there are individuals who are even concerned and worried about seeing their primary care physician, but that's much more acceptable than seeing a mental health care provider when it shouldn't be. Mental health is just as important as physical health. And we need to destigmatize it so that people are just as comfortable seeing their primary care physician or seeing their mental health care professional as they are with seeing their primary care physician.
Yeah, before we end this, I want to ask: is the telehealth services accessible for everyone?
It depends on the school district, and it really depends upon what's available with many of the school districts that are rolling this out and getting funds from this, from state or from the federal government. Yes, indeed, it is accessible, but it also takes in many jurisdictions a voluntary sign up by the school district to be willing to do that, and sometimes they don't have they'll say that they don't have the capacity to do something like that, and in many cases, that's very true.
Oh, wow. And now I'm more curious because what are our counselors in school there for if we can't, use them for these kinds of services or these types of activities that children can talk to counselors about?
Well, exactly right, and we still don't even have a huge shortage, especially within Texas, of counselors, right? Our student to counselor ratio is far and above and beyond what it should be, and, just even with the stress that children are facing, a lot of these mental health professionals are also facing a significant amount of stress because they're being asked to oversee very large student populations.
Mm.
and student populations where of course, they're going to be very impactful, but of course, they could be all the more impactful if they have more time to be able to give that one-on-one care to many of the students that need it.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm rambling on because this is so it's sad, and does this report I'm sorry, does this report talk about how funds can be accessible from the government or any place else?
Right, so it does provide information about where a lot of that money is coming from, right? And of course, the school district funding is the primary place. But one thing that we need to talk about as well is that many school districts used emergency funds from COVID-19 to help support their mental health services. And a lot of that money is not indeed coming back. And many of the states have not been able to find a consistent mechanism to provide regular funding to those schools for their mental health services. So when that money has been drying up, there hasn't been that that extra support from the state needed to keep those services going.
Yeah. Oh man, that's terrible. We need that funding, right? Okay.
I know, and now we're in the midst of a federal government shutdown, right, all around funding, right? At least in Texas, the state legislature, we've had surpluses every year, but, on the other hand, too, we do have to acknowledge that those surpluses may not always exist, right?
Mhm.
The some of our economic indicators are becoming a little bit concerning at times, but with that being said, this is a place where we can provide a very big bang for our buck. If we invest in kids early and we invest in their wellness
Yeah.
early and identify issues early, that only saves us money in the long run and helps us with our overall well-being in our community and our overall economic well-being
Yeah,
as well.
I agree. I agree. And this is a topic that I feel like we definitely need to revisit. But until then, we do have Rachel Airbear waiting. She's the executive director of the Lubbock Boys and Girls Club. I'm so excited to talk to her about the youth empowerment. That's something that I'm just strongly advocate for. So I'm so happy to have Rachel on, and we'll be talking with her right after this musical break. Hey, Rachel, and we're back. We're back with Rachel Airbear. She's the executive director of Lubbock Boys and Girls Club. Hey, girl, how are you?
I'm good, Reagan. How are you? You
I'm
also
great.
have our board chair as well, TJ Evans.
Welcome, TJ Evans. How are you? I'm so glad that you were able to join.
Doing great. It's so glad to be here.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone knows what the Boys and Girls Club, right? But we don't talk about the mission enough. Can you tell us about the mission of the Boys and Girls Club and what you both do there?
So our mission is to enable all young people and to make sure that they reach their full potential as productive, responsible, and caring citizens. So that's our mission. That's always been our mission. We've been around for 85 years here in Lubbock, and we do really great work. But we can't do that work without advocates. Our volunteers, our board members, and TJ's been essential to what we do here in Lubbock and the changes that we've made to advocate for our teens. We know how to do the babies well. Everyone does. It's the teenagers that we're losing, and so that's been our big mission for the last couple of years.
And when you say, you're losing your teens, kinda explain that a little bit.
Well, in the sense that we don't want to talk about that, say that thing that happened. But, when they started staying at home and not going to school and not doing those things, that's really when we started losing them. And so we started, putting our heads together and trying to figure out how can we bring them back into the club? How can we bring them back into our programs that we have for them? And so one of the things we did, and I'll let TJ talk about that, is we've brought mentors into our clubs.
Yeah. TJ, can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think when we talk about teens, there's a million different options for kids right now. They're living in a world of technology where there's so much exciting stuff out there. I think that they can do. And there's programs put out by school. So we want to make sure as a club, we're providing opportunities that they can't get somewhere else. Things that can enhance their life, but they're also fun and enjoyable. And so over the summer, we kind of launched our pilot program and we're hoping to grow it. It started with Mentorship Monday, and we had mentors from throughout the community come in from different professions and different.
Yeah. And so,
Sorry, it said I was having a connection.
and while we're talking about, his children not having a really good day, and that's real. And children don't always have good days. There might be an altercation at home, or they feel depressed or about something. What ways does the organization kind of uplift children when they have those bad days from home?
So that's one of the things that she does have a bad condition, but one of the things that we have done is we've added the technology. We've gone out and we've polled our kids, we've surveyed our kids, we've surveyed their parents, and they want to have a voice. They want to have a voice, like you said. And we've hired um, staff members that can relate to the teenagers, that can relate to them. Like I said, we pretty much have our babies down, our elementary kids, and even middle school. I taught middle school, so they're a little separate group of their own. But the high schoolers, those teenagers, those preteens, that's where we struggled a little bit, but we brought in the technology. We've given them a podcast. All our clubs, we have 5 clubs in Lubbock, and all our clubs have podcast systems. So they have a voice. They can come in and they can interview, Texas Tech football players or LCU basketball players. They can interview the people that they relate to, and we can bring them into the clubs and they can have those one-on-one conversations. But at the same time, what TJ was talking about, our mentor program, we brought in psychologists. We brought in people that work with, well, TJ can tell you, but they work with not necessarily in their field. That we had a chef come in. We've had people come in from United Supermarkets that deal with the security, the systems, and things that they don't really realize what they can do. You don't always have to have a college education to become that citizen in the community. And so that's what we wanted to let them know. You've got technology, you've got other options, and we're here to help you become that person. And we're going to help you through. If college is your thing, we're going to help you get to college or the university. If you want to be a plumber, we're going to help you do that. And not necessarily means a 4-year college, but they can come out of high school, and they can come out of the Boys and Girls Club, and they can provide for their families. So that's our goal.
So you mentioned a lot of different people and how they're supporting you as an organization. Can you talk a bit about how you build those relationships and some of the centrality of working with those stakeholders to really support the teenagers that you're working with?
Sure, for sure. So we're like I said, like I mentioned earlier, we've been around for 85 years in Lubbock. So we do have those relationships built. But not only that, I talk about those advocates, those volunteers, our board members. We have board members that can go to Austin and fight legislative for us. We have those put in place. As a matter of fact, we have a Texas Alliance with Boys and Girls Club of America, and we have our own Texas Alliance representative that is part of our board, and she knows those representatives. She can pick up the phone and call them and advocate for us. So those are the relationships that we have built throughout the years to support our families. That's the biggest thing. Support our families and make sure that we have the right people advocating for us and our families. And whether that's in Austin, Washington, and locally, we're strategic in who helps us and who we partner with, and because our families and our kids come first.
I
Yeah.
think one of the things we've done is we've reached out to the media and the community that way so that we could brag about some of the programs we're doing and give the community information regarding what we're doing. And so since we started being more upfront
and open about that, we've had people reach out to us and they want to get on board with what we're doing and get involved with what we're doing. And that has been a huge change.
So speaking of the general public, how then can people out in the community best start getting engaged and getting involved to help your mission?
Kind of like TJ said, we really put ourselves out there. We have a part-time marketing person, and she pretty much handles all our social media, anything that we all the good stuff that we have happening. We're part of the chamber, the Lubbock Chamber. So anything that we do for our clubs, we're constantly doing either ribbon cuttings. If we've gotten a grant, to add more technology or to add some extra games, to add the mentor programs, we're putting it out there. We celebrate our clubs. We celebrate our families. And so we do that with the media. We do it on social media. We do it with, like TJ said, we like to partner up with Trends and Friends, which is a local, segment that happens here. And so that's and word of mouth. I mean, you won't
Yeah.
believe how many parents call us and say, "Hey, I have a friend of mine, their child is going there." We had teenagers drive themselves this summer to our clubs. They have driver's license. They can go anywhere else. And we had them drive to the club because they were being engaged. And so I mean, we can't ask for more than that.
Yeah,
Well,
you
and as
you
far as like getting involved as a community member, we have opportunities for volunteering throughout all of our events. So we've even had like Texas Tech football players come out and Texas Tech basketball players come out and get engaged with our kids. We've had people reach out over the mentorship program. Like, how do I become a mentor? How can I come talk to the kids? And so we have those opportunities throughout the year. And we absolutely love when the community members come and get involved.
There's so many programs and just services that you guys offer, and the essential thing about it is learning, right? And
Mhm.
at the Lubbock Boys and Girls Club, why is it so important to learn all of these skills?
So that they can grow up and be these adults that we want them to be, to have that voice in their community. We offer so many programs, just like other agencies or, local nonprofit agencies. We offer anti-bully initiatives, family engagement programs, mentorships, juvenile prevention. That's a big thing. And that is, we do offer a juvenile prevention program, and that is funded through the Texas Alliance. And then we do have academic success, leadership development, health and wellness programs. We feed over 140,000 meals and snacks to our kids, and sometimes they get their breakfast and their lunch at school, but when they come to us, we're feeding them that dinner.
Yeah.
And then the life and workforce readiness, that's where our VR headsets come in, and they can virtually dissect a heart, or they can virtually learn how to change out a toilet or how to change, electricity. They can learn these life skills and walk out with something tangible to create these adults that we want. And so and of course we all have the youth sports programs. Sometimes our kiddos don't make those basketball leagues in middle school or whatnot, but we have those programs. If you want to play basketball, by golly, you're going to play basketball. And we're going to have those coaches that are going to come in and teach them the right way to play basketball or volleyball, the skills on how to do those things. Or golf. I mean, we have a golf program for our kids. We have a rodeo. We expose our kids to things that normally they're not exposed to.
Mhm. And that's beautiful. Please keep up the good work that you all do at the Lubbock Boys and Girls Club. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, TJ, for joining us today. I appreciate this conversation and just talking with you guys.
We appreciate you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so
After
much.
this musical break, we will be right back with Larissa Jacobs. She's the founder and executive director of Fit Houston, so stay tuned for that.
I know a galaxy and I could take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way I like. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo,
Actually back, definitely maybe the last guest, but definitely not forgotten, okay? Larissa Jacobs, thank you for joining us today. She's the founder and executive director of Fit Houston. Hey, Larissa, how's it going?
Great. How are y'all doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I was so interested in Fit Houston. It was kind of like a childhood me was smiling because it is something that I kinda always wanted to do when I was younger. I wish this was around. Can you start us off with, like, the core mission of Fit Houston, and why is it so important for the city's families and children to be active?
Well, thank you so much. They say that inactivity at this moment is a pandemic. I thought it was an epidemic, but I actually attended a webinar recently, and it apparently what we're experiencing in the United States is happening all across the globe in other countries as well, that we just have become sedentary. So, Fit Houston is a nonprofit. We have quite a few programs in Harris County and Fort Bend. We are all about free physical activity. We believe that it should be happening right where you live. It should be fairly easy to get to, kind of basically maybe what a lot of us experienced when we were young. You just go out your front door and you're physically active. And so we have programs, walking groups across the city. Our goal is to eventually have them on every street corner, of course. That's a big goal. But for now, we are about 14 groups. And just spanning Harris County and Fort Bend. We're partnering with the City of Houston to build a free outdoor gym at Mason Park and City of Houston District I. We've got Councilmember Joaquin Martinez very involved in that project. When the free outdoor gym is built, we will have free fitness classes. They'll be geared to seniors, but honestly, anybody can take those classes. It'll be a lot of resistance training and strength training. And then we just launched our Fit Schools program, which we love. It's been very well received. We basically provide a bike library to a school so they can bike rodeos that stay on the school campus. So the bikes don't leave the school. Generally, we'll provide, usually, depending on our funding, between 12 to 20 bikes, sometimes more. We have one school that would like to have 30 bikes, so they have a lot of kids at that school. And they can set up the bike obstacle courses on the school grounds. They usually have some kind of asphalt area or a parking lot where they can let the kids play in a safe way. So we love that. I think we're going into our third or fourth campus pretty soon. So
You mentioned the pandemic and, the epidemic, and I think since that time, a lot of kids have got accustomed to being inside and staying inside. They found other things to do, and so how does participating in Fit Houston activities help children build confidence and, like, resilience for the future?
well, thank you. We're just not well if we're not getting outside and being active. Ideally, you would have unstructured physical activity time. So while the bike rodeos are structured, there's also a little bit of unstructured there, unstructured time there as well. But some of the kids, when I see them doing the bike rodeos, they'll just blurt things out that are really amazing. Like, this is the best day of my entire life. I actually have heard several kids say that at our events and our bike rodeos. So and that it makes me happy to know that they have the bikes at the school and that the school champion, usually a PE teacher, can get those bikes out anytime they want. So it's not surprising we have a long list of campuses, a long wait list who would like to launch this bike program. But it's been great for the kids, and we partner with the health department to educate on being safe in traffic. And so that part's very important to us. And we know that, again, it's sometimes not as safe as it should be for kids to be active. According to American Academy of Pediatrics, kids need at least 60 minutes. That's 1 hour of physical activity each day. And, lately, I think it's more nuanced when you look at the physical activity guidelines for Americans. And I look a lot at Physical Activity Alliance. They should be getting aerobic activity at least 3 days a week. They should be getting muscle strengthening activity at least 3 days a week. They should be doing bone strengthening activity at least 3 days a week. And so when you think about being on a bike, it can help you to achieve that relatively quickly. I will also say I was thrilled yesterday to take a look at some legislative wins this last session. One of them is that we no longer, we have a law now in Texas, we're no longer allowed to hold back physical activity to punish children during the school day, which I think was just a huge win. Our friends at Harris County Public Health have been working on this for decades, and I'm just so excited that we did have that win. And so, we need to find some other way to discipline, but not taking away physical activity.
Yeah, yeah. What connections, do you see between physical activity, emotional health, and the development of a strong, confident mindset in kids?
Oh, I love the way you said that. I feel like you just summed it right up. So, what she said. No. But I think because I mean that's really it. If you're
Yeah.
getting your physical activity, you're getting exposure to, you do need some sunlight, you do need to increase those vitamin D levels, you do need to have some sense of agency. When you're on a bike or you're outside playing outside, you're just making those constant decisions, right? It's so good for the brain. But honestly, if their kids are getting their physical activity, which it seems from the data, they're more likely to be getting it when they're younger because the preschool ages are not, they don't seem to be faring with as much concern as when they get older. And that might just be the nature of the curriculum and the way the schools are. Kids are young and they're not doing all that desk work when they're age 3. But anyway, when they are getting their physical activity, they should be more focused. They should be able to accomplish more. They should feel better. Their bodies will feel better. Their minds will be better. The data's out there. I mean, it's very clear, and I think by letting them have some unstructured play, they can develop a sense of agency over their lives.
So, speaking about unstructured play, what are some of the biggest barriers that you're seeing to that unstructured play in Houston? Because, of course, we're a very large, sprawling city, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the infrastructure, it doesn't necessarily lend itself to unstructured play. So, what are some of those challenges and what are some of the investments we can make to try to make more unstructured play a reality in Houston?
Oh, I love that. I love that question. And as you know, we've worked, with even some of your colleagues and your peers at Baker Institute at Rice University. Take a look at I think Dr. Zoeb Hafiz has done amazing work with you all, with your team, and looking at the heat maps of where traffic has really become an unfortunate, in a bad way, game changer for children not to be able to even be free to go out because it's just for fear of being, becoming mortality from traffic. So regardless of what the traffic rules are, you have a situation where it's just like playing Frogger. And you see this all the time in the news. And so I think the opportunity, you have some wonderful public office holders like Harris County Precinct 4 County Commissioner Leslie Briones has been very focused with her team of engineers and urban planners on safe routes to school. I think there's a lot of work to be done there. I think there are some good laws that exist about crosswalks. I think when you look at the Lisa Torrey Smith Act, you we kind of need to think about how to enforce it and how to educate people that truly you need to stop at these crosswalks. You need to be mindful and paying attention. But I don't think people know or we've developed a culture of being in a hurry and plowing through these crosswalks. Very dangerous for the kids. So I think some good opportunities might be around educating on the laws, enforcing them, and I think developing some other ways for kids to get back and forth to school with active transportation. And then again, I think how can we develop systems where kids are together and families are together with the kids to keep them safe? Because I'm not sure sometimes if it's as safe to be outside alone. I don't even go out by myself to run or walk alone. We're very clear with our walkers and our walking groups. You need to go together in groups.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous out here now, but I want to talk a little bit about children's physical health. Now, I know that we talked about, it's good for their emotional health. It's good to, for them to develop a strong and confident mind. But what else, do you think in other ways can regular physical activity contribute to children's success in school and even beyond?
I think that I think it's like maybe for the whole family, there's opportunity to be together as a family, and whatever the family, looks like is being outside together. Everybody will be better off, I think, mentally, spiritually, physically, but even time together. We know from our walking groups, there's a social aspect to it. And so, I want to be sensitive and respectful to what families go through today. I want to be respectful to the demands of work and other areas, but being sensitive to that and saying, maybe someone's working 2-3 jobs. It is difficult to be together outside, but at any moment, there are many free activities, festivals, and things. You just take a look at your county commissioner's office. Again, I'll highlight Precinct 4. They have events all the time, bird events, park events, and whatnot. They're very safe for the kids, and it's a sense of community. So I think, as you do that, everybody's in a better mood. They're feeling better. We're actually working with the Kinder Institute of Urban Research at Rice University. We measure our adult walkers before and after walking, and we know for a fact their mood is improved. We've been looking at the data, and we continue to run those surveys so that we can eventually share the specific data. But when you're outside and you're being active, you will be better and feel better.
That's
More
absolutely
resilient.
true. Yeah, that's so true, and I can definitely relate, from when I was little. Thank you, Larissa. This was such a good we have to have you back because I'm not done. I this is a great conversation, and I love everything that you do. But now it's time for something fun, okay? We are in our speed round questions, and I just have to ask you, were you more of an inside child or you played outside?
Oh, well, I think we all know the answer to that. I was coming in when what was it, when the street lights
Yeah.
come on, you gotta be in the house. But yeah, I came from immigrant family, so I would come in and there would be plantains frying in the fry pan. So being Filipino, it's like coming from outside, you're hungry, maybe you ate, maybe you didn't. I don't know. You're just out there all day looking a mess, crawling through the mud. And then you come in and there's plantains frying in the fry pan. So
Oh, okay, well, that sounds good. I would like that after a good day of play, okay? Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who's listening to Growing Up in America. If you enjoyed our discussion, please tune in next Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Follow us on Facebook and be sure to check out our new episodes of our podcast each Monday at noon. This is Reagan with the wonderful Dr. Data, Christopher Kulesza, okay? And we'll definitely talk to you guys soon.
I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream in my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? Jumped in the cab, here I am for the first time. Look to my right and I see the Hollywood sign. This is all so crazy. Everybody seems so famous. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the taxi man turned on the radio and a Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. So I put my hands up to play my song. The butterflies fly away. Nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. I got my hands up to play my song. I know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Get to the club in my taxi cab. Everybody's looking at me now. Like, who's that chick that's rocking kicks? She gotta be from out of town. So